Hi there, and welcome back to Model Horses, of course. Since we've just turned into a new year, everybody's all excited about all the new Breyer releases for the year and the discontinued ones. What did we need to go back and get that got discontinued last year? Because we have this wonderful instant communication, we can find these things out quickly and jump on them. But what about back in the olden days? Back when we had to walk 10 miles uphill in the snow both ways to get to our toy store. How did we know what was new, what had been discontinued? Well, unless your parents happened to own a toy store or maybe manage the local Gemco toy department, you probably didn't. Breyer didn't do a great job of advertising to customers back in the olden days. And when they did, it was not a lot. Maybe once a year they would update things. So, since it's that time of year, I thought I would grabbed one of my binders of old ephemera. This is how we used to learn about new releases, discontinued, and other Breyer news. Back in the olden days, there was no direct-to-consumer advertising. It was dealer catalogs. So Breyer would produce these dealer catalogs and send them out to different companies. This is, I think, 1967. They were not full color. They were sepia tone. And they wouldn't even send out a full dealer's catalog every year. This 1967 is like an insert that goes into your 1966 catalog. So it told you that they had released the new Man-O-War and Pacer, and there was a new bear cub that you could buy and sell to your customers. And here's a list of the stuff that we've discontinued. So just go back to your 1966 price sheet and just cross them out. This was pretty much the only way that anybody could find out what was new, and they weren't always released reliably, consistently, or accurately. So you had a lot of guessing to do, but this was how it started. This is the 1968. This is an actual flyer that went out to the dealers telling them about the new releases and seeing them at the New York Toy Fair. So this one's in color, and it's the new releases for 1968. And come see these at the toy fair so that you can pick the ones that you want to sell in your store to the collectors and people that are coming in and buying Breyers. So this was great, and it helped dealers at least have some information about what to carry in their shops. Then, long about 1970, Breyer went, oh, there's people that buy these horses from the dealers. We should probably market to them too. So then we started getting these consumer catalogs. So this is the 1970 consumer catalog. They came in the boxes of the horses. So when you bought a model and you opened it up, there would be a catalog in there. And it would have all of the Breyers that were available for that year. And these were great as a kid. You would drool over these and just wear them ragged looking at all the pictures. And you'd circle them and you'd go, I want this one for Christmas and this one for Easter and this one for my birthday, and I really, really, really want this one when I get good grades. So then you could give it to mom and dad and they could see what to get you for the holidays. And then here's the back. Oh, and then it would tell you if there was something new released sometimes. And sometimes you just have to sit and compare it with last year's catalog to see what had been discontinued. But they were nice. They were full color. They were all of the stuff. So they had all the animals. They had all the different models that were produced for that year. So these were awesome. And I remember going to toy stores, and a lot of time they'd have a little stack of them next to the Breyers. So maybe you could grab an extra one to go through if you didn't have enough money to buy a Breyer at that time. So that was the first couple of years. This is 1972. They experimented with like different sizes and different ways of advertising. So this is a nice one. Again, full color, folds out really big. Has all of the pictures of the models with their names, and then the names and the numbers of the horses, sizes. So these were really helpful as a kid figuring out what you wanted to ask for or save your allowance money for. And they had a little bit of information. So this is when Breyer started doing interesting stuff like the Arabian mare with the halter and the box, the bolo ties, the presentation models. They started experimenting, and it was pretty cool because they didn't change their line a lot. So you had a lot of family Arabs and that sort of thing. So it stayed in this format, this larger format, for a while. Then they started shrinking them. So 1976, we started getting a little smaller, but they were still full color. They were still folded out very nicely. I love these ones that showed the pictures of the boxes because I love that kind of stuff. So you got to see the boxes, the hang, peg cards, all the different boxes that the horses came in. It showed you what was new. You could drool over it and maybe say, oh, they have new stablemate, the barn that I can play with. So this was still really nice, pretty big. And again, you got one at least in every model that you bought. So then we have 78, 77. Well, then they started shrinking them again. So about 1980, we started getting much smaller. Look at this little tiny thing. It's a good thing we were young so we could actually read this like 4-point type. But they folded out pretty big. They had pictures of all the models so you could see them in color. It had the new stuff that was being made that year. They had all of the new tack sets and blankets and sulky kits and the stablemates and the classics and the really cool boxes. I actually love the boxes because I love the graphics on them. So it was small, but you still got to see some really nice detail and new for 1981. So you could see what was new and you could circle them and decide what you wanted to buy that year. 84, they got a little bit big again, so that was nice. 84, 85, 86. 87, then they shrunk again down 88, 89. Then they stayed pretty small, and they've been kind of consistent over the years, and you can still get the catalogs in the models. But in the 1970s, they started experimenting with this new information called Just About Horses. So this was a little fold-out brochure that you could pick up for free at your local toy store, made by Breyer. You could subscribe to it, so they would mail it to you, and it had a little bit of information about something. This one's about Marguerite, Henry, and Misty. Model horse clubs, collector's corner, and the favorite cartoon, Horse Tales. So there was a little bit of information in here to tide you over until the new models were released for the next year. So that was really fun. Here is a special complimentary issue. I think this is 1978. So they kept doing Just About Horses, and they're still doing them today. They're only once a year nowadays, but it's nice to have a piece of paper that you can sit and you can read through that has great information, little cartoon, tide you over on those lean times in between buying model horses. They did other advertising too. I have lots of binders of different ephemera and stuff. This is, I think, 1986. This is the dealer's display that a dealer could buy and put in their store and have actual models out. This was in the days when you couldn't see the model in the box. So this was what they actually looked like, so the dealer could use it as a display. They've done different advertising over the years and different paper that you can collect, like the JCPenney special Christmas catalog special runs and stuff like that. Not to the degree now we get our instant information from YouTube about all the new releases. They've already released the new special runs for Breyer Fest for this year. But this was how we did it in the olden days. You got nice old sepia tone dealer's catalogs. You got some paper to circle what you wanted. And so this was really fun, and I still like to collect a lot of the ephemera because it's fun to look through and see how it's changed over the years. I hope you enjoyed that. I'll come up with something else interesting to talk about next time, so join me then. Thank you.